Thank you very much. It's a very important question. First of all, funding. We've been hearing this morning, as you know, in your forum, about the extraordinary increases in military expenditure, $2.443 trillion, I think, globally at the moment this year, while humanitarian funding has suffered as a result, and also as a result of economic decline. So the funding for humanitarian operations is running at about half of what it should be, what it needs to be. The second, and perhaps more urgent problem, is the catastrophic decision by so many people to act with impunity. Humanitarian access should be a sacred obligation of those who can provide it or manage it or indeed deter it. But it's not often the case that we find that, whether it's in Gaza or Sudan or Afghanistan or elsewhere. So we need really to address that. And I know this from my time in the humanitarian agencies these last few years. There's a huge problem because we are facing the killing of our aid workers, huge numbers this year, 250, is it, of UNRWA staff in Gaza killed? It's astonishing. We're seeing killing all over the world, and there is no reason for leaders today not to act with impunity because measures to control it are absent. So I think those are the two things that really deter our operations. Yeah, I think this is about the United Nations, presumably, and I served there off and on for about 17 years of my life. I joined the UN 7 times, actually, and I've recently left, as you know. I think it's in desperate threat. The Security Council doesn't seem able to make decisions to end wars, which it was created to do. We know that this is a lot to do with the veto power of key permanent members, the 5 states who have that veto, but it goes beyond that to a sense in the world that the Security Council has become irrelevant. The Security Council deals in many ways more with humanitarian issues than with peace and security issues for which it was created. And there's a lot of people in the humanitarian community who don't really want the Security Council to invade our work. So the Security Council, I think, is really in trouble, and I don't think there's much prospect of it being reformed to make it more up-to-date, inclusive, representative. It's still in the 1945 period of representation. Secondly, there is a widespread global skepticism about the United Nations, as you know, and we've heard that also this morning from representatives of the UN, to their huge credit. And how to deal with that, I think, is much more difficult because it's opaque, it's large, it's widespread, it's cultural. Because the people who deal with the UN Secretariat in New York are the ambassadors, are the diplomats. Civil society is lucky to get a walk-in. And now I'm in civil society, it's more clear to me that all decisions would benefit from the involvement of activism and civil society and what I like to call ordinary people, which is what I like to call myself. And that's not really happening. Somebody said the other day in a meeting that I was in that the United Nations was the trades union of member states. And of course it was set up for member states. That's not a bad thing. I mean, it's very important that member states get together, but it's not enough. So there is a vital need for a different approach to big decisions, including on the humanitarian, but also on the political. The Security Council may not be fit for purpose, but in that sense, the UN processes and cultures also need to change. The fact that, also discussed today, that the new powers, the so-called Global South, Qatar, which is why it's so wonderful that Qatar is doing this forum today with your center, represents a whole new way of doing things. I think Qatar's mediation with Hamas and others has been exemplary. I'm one of those people who thinks very strongly from bitter experience, you have to talk to some of the people you don't like. It doesn't confer legitimacy on them, and it's wrong to criticize Qatar for that process. Qatar's a vital part of the new world of mediation and of humanitarian issues. And that's why this place will become busier and busier in the next years, and I'm very glad that's the case. We have a huge agenda of things we need to do, and I hope we'll get on with it. Thank you. Thank you very much.